Hello and welcome back to County Cricket Weekly on the Cricket District Network. We've had arguably the most entertaining round of county cricket fixtures this week, but before we get stuck into the action, I'm Toby Marriott, alongside me Regina. Regina, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
It's been a very exciting week for county cricket.
It has been indeed. Very entertaining. Regina's joining us this summer as a content creator. Great to have you on board, but let's get stuck into the action from the Vitality County Championship. First up, a thrilling encounter between Glamorgan and Gloucestershire. It was a tale of two halves in this epic championship contest between Gloucestershire and Glamorgan. The visitors elected to bowl first at Cheltenham College and immediately started making inroads into the Gloucestershire lineup. Tim van der Gugten dismissed Cameron Bancroft to the second ball of the day, and Ollie Price went 10 overs later to leave the score at 16 for 2. Wickets continued to fall at regular intervals, and van der Gugten was soon celebrating the 15th first-class 5-wicket haul of his career with the 9th wicket of the innings. The hosts number 10 and 11, Marchant de Lange and Ajit Singh Dale, managed to add some respectability to the score, putting on 75 for the last wicket to take Gloucestershire from 104 for 9 to 179 all out.
Glamorgan didn't fare much better in their reply. Their top order did manage to lay a solid foundation of 104 for 3, however no batter could make a telling contribution. Gloucestershire overseas Beau Webster was on fire with the ball, taking his second 5-wicket haul of the season to rip through the Glamorgan middle order. Mason Crane continued his purple patch with the bat, managing 44 runs from number 9, before he was bowled by Webster for the final wicket of the innings. Glamorgan 197 all out and 18 runs in the lead.
Gloucestershire didn't start the third innings much better. Ben Charlesworth edged behind for a golden duck, and Price was on his way back to the changing rooms for 8 soon after. The game had been dominated by the bowlers up until this point, but that was about to change drastically. Miles Hammond joined Bancroft in the middle, and 36 overs later they had taken the score from 17 for 2 to 218 for 2. Hammond played brilliantly, stroking the ball all around the ground for 21 boundaries on his way to 121 at a brisk strike rate at 110. He mistimed one slog sweep too many to be caught in the deep off Kieran Carlson, bringing James Bracey to the crease. Bracey batted just as fluently as Hammond. Not to be outdone at the other end, Bancroft was raising his bat to celebrate 3 figures. By this point, Gloucestershire were 388 for 3 and 360 runs in the lead at stumps on day 2. The run scoring didn't stop the next day. Bracey was celebrating his third 100 of the season off 131 balls. The 263-run partnership was finally broken when Bancroft edged behind for 184 to leave the score at 471 for 4. Bracey was joined by Webster, and the pair started to pick up the pace. Smashing the ball to all parts of the ground, Bracey brought up his double 100 and Gloucestershire finally declared on a massive 610 for 5, leaving Glamorgan needing a seemingly impossible target of 593 runs to win the game.
Weary following a long stint in the field and faced with the prospect of batting out nearly 5 sessions to save the game, Glamorgan still made a decent start to their second innings, Billy Root and Eddie Byron staging an opening stand of 67. Marnus Labuschagne would have been viewed as the key wicket by the Gloucestershire bowlers. The Aussie played brilliantly, scoring a century that pushed his side forward into a position where all 3 results were still on the table at lunch on day 4. Sam Northeast picked up the baton, combining in several crucial middle-order partnerships. The former Kent player notched his 3rd century of the season before he was dismissed for 187, at a stage when a win and the highest first-class 4th innings run chase was very much on the cards for the Welshman. 2 wickets remaining and 49 runs needed. The game was on a knife edge. Crane rode his luck and navigated the intense drama of the situation brilliantly to take his side within 1 run of victory with 1 ball left in the game. However, Gloucestershire had the last laugh. They took the final Glamorgan wicket off the last ball, a stunning diving catch from Bracey to spark wild celebrations. You won't get many better finishes to a game of cricket than that.
Wow, absolutely speechless. What an incredible game of county cricket. What a great advert for this format as well. After 4 days, it ends in a tie. James Bracey taking a screamer with one-handed and his gloves off.
Yeah.
What an amazing game of cricket.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, I think earlier in the season in the Blast, we've actually seen Bracey miss a run out with both gloves on, standing back at Sussex, where Sussex were ultimately victorious. So he's definitely learned from that, taking an absolute screamer. But what a game. I think both teams would be probably a little bit disappointed that both of them really didn't clutch the victory. But
yeah, it was incredible scenes at the end. I mean, James Bracey running around the field at Cheltenham College. Yeah. Great to see such a thrilling game at a county outground like that. Yeah. Lots of fans there watching a brilliant game of county cricket. But just looking at the scorecard, a real game of 2 halves. 23 wickets in the first 2 days, 814 runs in the last 2, and obviously a brilliant finish. But both teams actually will be bitterly disappointed that they didn't win it, because
Yeah.
both of them got themselves in positions to win it. Glamorgan 1 run short of a world record run chase in first-class cricket, 60 more than the previous highest. And Gloucestershire obviously batted brilliantly, a double 100 from Bracey. He's scored 763 runs at an average of 60 so far in the competition. More runs for Miles Hammond. What a great season he's having.
Yeah.
So Gloucestershire played brilliant cricket. Glamorgan somehow managed to get 1 run short of a record-breaking victory. All in all, a thrilling game, but they share the points.
Epitome of county cricket, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Red ball cricket is back.
Red ball cricket is back this week. What a thrilling contest. Let's move on then to Taunton, where Somerset took on Warwickshire. Somerset won the toss at Taunton, and skipper Craig Overton elected to bowl first, a decision that paid immediate dividends when Miguel Pretorius claimed 3 early wickets, removing Rob Yates, Sam Hain and Dan Mousley in a destructive spell to leave Warwickshire on 40 for 4 in the 15th over.
However, the visitors soon fought back, with century stands between Will Rhodes and Ed Barnard for the 5th wicket, and Michael Burgess and Chris Wokes for the 8th, ensuring that the hosts' early morning dominance was eradicated by the end of day 1. Barnard scored a fluent 92 before he was bowled by Jack Leach, but Burgess continued the momentum, top scoring with an unbeaten 126 as the visitors finished the day on 373 for 8. Warwickshire were eventually bowled out for 412, Pretorius picking up a 5-wicket haul in the process, finishing with 5 for 104 from 27 overs.
Andy Amid took the attack to Warwickshire from the get-go, launching a straight 6 from his second ball, but Oliver Hannon-Dolby didn't take long to take his revenge, Somerset losing their first batter at 6 for 1. Kohler Cadmore briefly steadied the ship before falling to a beauty from Michael Booth, and it was left to Tom Banton and Tom Abel. The pair batted brilliantly from 57 for 3 to 196 for 3, before Hannon-Dolby made the breakthrough for the visitors, removing Banton for 78. Somerset decided to send in a night watchman, but ended up sending in 2 of them, as Hannon-Dolby dismissed both Ed Davey and Jack Leach, the hosts falling to 208 for 6 at the close of play.
It went from bad to worse for the hosts as Tom Abel fell in the first over of day 3 to a low full toss from Booth, who went on to dismiss Casey Aldridge shortly after to leave Somerset struggling at 222 for 8. Skipper Craig Overton fought back with a runnable 35 not out, but was left stranded as Oliver Hannon-Dolby picked up the 15th 5-wicket haul of his first-class career, finishing with 6 for 56 as Somerset were bowled out for 284, 128 runs behind.
Rob Yates and Alex Davies arrived at the crease ready for business. The pair got Warwickshire off to the perfect start, both scoring 50s to extend their team's lead to 234, before Jack Leach made the breakthrough, getting one to beat the bat of Davies. Yates fell soon after to a well-executed short ball plan from Overton, the Somerset captain also removing Will Rhodes and Dan Mosley, in quick succession to inspire his side to a fight back. Casey Aldridge managed a direct hit run out to dismiss the dangerous Barnard for 2, before Jacob Bethel's aggressive 66 swung momentum back in the Bears' favour, Warwickshire declaring on 281 for 8, 409 runs ahead.
So, we head into day 4 with all 3 results possible. Somerset made their intentions clear, batting aggressively from the outset. Hannon-Dolby once again picking up the wicket of Amid, and Ed Barnard taking a screamer to remove Lammonby.
Enter Tom Abel. The former Somerset skipper batted majestically, adding 67 for the 3rd wicket alongside Kohler Cadmore and 138 for the 4th wicket alongside Tom Banton, who scored his second 50 of the game. Banton fell for 81, leaving the match in the balance, but James Rue continued where his teammate left off. Rue smashed 57 off 54 balls as Abel kept ticking, playing an array of strokes to take Somerset to a remarkable victory and the highest first-class score of his career. Somerset win a fantastic game by 5 wickets and move into 2nd place in Division 1 of the County Championship. Right, another fantastic game of county cricket. A brilliant victory for Somerset. Tom Abel taking his team across the line.
Yeah, absolute knock from Tom Abel, and what a way to finish it with a 6 as well.
Brilliant.
Ball, so.
I thought they just never gave up. I think he went 4-4-6, didn't he?
Yeah.
A brilliant finish to that game. Just looking at it, Warwickshire, I think they were 106 for naught. That's right, 106 for naught. Yates and Davies both passed 50 on day 3, and they led by 234. But Somerset never gave up.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think Warwickshire will probably look back and think they could have scored a couple more runs
Yeah,
there.
they could have gone a bit quicker.
Yeah, 100%. But Sam Hain, 43 off of 13 balls, shows a bit of promise there. But yeah, all in all, fantastic from Somerset. Again, another exciting advert for county cricket.
Fantastic, and great to see such a healthy crowd at Taunton. They love their cricket as much as they love their cider down in Somerset, and a brilliant win for them that takes them 2nd in the County Championship table. Speaking of the top of the County Championship table, let's head to the Kia Oval, where Surrey took on title challengers Essex. 6,300 spectators turned up to the Kia Oval to watch day one of this crunch title match between Surrey and Essex. Essex drew first blood, winning the toss and electing to bowl on a greenish-looking wicket. The visitors suffered the first setback though when Jordan Cox left the field after feeling unwell. Cox was subsequently ruled out of the rest of the match and has since had an operation on his appendix. Despite this blow, Essex started well, removing Surrey's dangerous top three for just 67 runs. This brought New England keeper Jamie Smith to the crease, who started to almost single-handedly drag his side back into the game. Ben Foakes and Sai Sundararajan both fell as Smith ploughed on. 132 balls later and Smith was celebrating his second 100 of the Vitality County Championship season. He would be out to the next ball he faced, bowled by Matt Critchley after taking on one too many big shots. The Surrey innings ended 20 overs later with no bat being able to reach the heights of Smith. Shane Snater claimed 3 wickets to wrap up the innings for 262. Surrey's bowlers would need to come out firing if they were to secure a first innings lead.
And fire they did. Hamstrung by the loss of Cox, the Essex batters struggled. Openers Dean Elgar and Nick Brown were out before the score had reached 20. Tom Wesley was soon following them back to the pavilion, bringing the formed duo of Critchley and Paul Walter together at the crease. The pair managed a 50 partnership for the 4th wicket before Critchley was caught behind 2 runs short of a half-century. The rest of the lineup could not offer the support Walter needed, and Essex quickly found themselves up against it at 151 for 7. Hopes of a lead were dashed when Walter holed out to Ryan Patel in the deep, one of the 3 wickets for Surrey's best bowlers in the innings, Jordan Clark. Ethan Bosch followed 1 run later as Essex were bowled out for 180, trailing their title rivals by 82 runs.
The Surrey second innings followed a remarkably similar pattern to that of the first. Early wickets from the visitors had the reigning champions struggling at 37 for 3. Smith picked up where he left off, further underlining the decision of the England selectors. The right-hander brought up his 50 in 75 balls, but was making his way back to the pavilion 20 runs later after he was well caught at deep square leg by Aaron Beard. At this point, Essex were gaining confidence with Surrey wobbling at 123 for 5 and a lead of 203. Any such hopes were snuffed out by Ryan Patel. Far from a regular in this Surrey lineup, the left-hander struck 18 boundaries on his way to a vital century off 122 balls. Patel was eventually bowled by Critchley for 107, with Surrey setting the visitors 361 runs to win.
Clark removed Brown and Bosch before stumps on day 3 to leave the score at 17 for 2. Essex were going to need something special on day 4 to chase down these runs against a purring Surrey seam attack. Dean Elgar was in a typically defiant mood and brought up his 5th half-century of the championship season. He could only make 60 and not the 100 his side would need to claim the win in this one. Tom Laws ripped through the Essex middle order with 4 wickets, including the big scalp of Walter for 56. It was left to Clark to wrap up the match, removing Snater LBW to spark big celebrations from the Surrey players. This win puts them 23 points clear at the top of the table, with just 5 more games to go.
Another round of county cricket then, and another victory for Surrey, this time against their title rivals Essex. Huge win for them, even with a depleted team. They just goes to show that their strength in depth is undeniable. You've got 100 there for Ryan Patel and 5 wickets for Tom Laws. Of course, the main talking point now is Jamie Smith into the England team, playing at Lord's next week in their test match against the West Indies, and he looks to be in fine form. A ridiculous 100 for him. Surrey are looking truly dominant in this season's county championship.
They truly are, but I feel like Essex was probably a little bit unlucky this week. Jordan Cox actually with an illness, but he scored 700 plus runs so far in the county championship, and I definitely think he probably could have been the difference a little bit in this game. So Essex not really at full strength. And speaking about that, actually, we know that concussion subs are a thing, and obviously Jordan Cox has been unlucky with a serious illness. What do you think the ruling should be on that? Do you reckon they should be allowed to have that sub because it's one less batsman?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a rule that should be looked at. And like you said, Jordan Cox has had an incredible season. His first season, of course, for Essex, having moved from Kent, scoring over 700 runs, I think.
Yes.
A phenomenal season for him. And yeah, I think looking at it, really, they should have been allowed to bring someone on board to bat. I think playing against Surrey is hard enough. Playing against them with effectively 10 men is even more challenging. So, yeah, they'll be disappointed with that. I guess a glimmer of hope is that Surrey take on Lancashire next after the break. And Lancashire may well have a certain Jimmy Anderson in their lineup. And I'm sure he'll be up for it against the Surrey team, who are dominating this season's county championship. So next up, we head to the Riverside Stadium to see Worcestershire take on Durham. Strugglers Worcestershire made the trip to the northeast to face the Durham side, welcoming Ben Stokes back to their first 11. Scott Borthwick was into the action early. After winning the toss and choosing to bowl, the Durham captain was LBW to Nathan Smith in the first over of the game. Durham's batters have been full of confidence so far this season, but the runs deserted them in this match. David Bellingham and Ollie Robinson made lively starts to their innings, but starts were all they could muster, and the pair were both bowled by Ben Allison and Smith respectively to leave the score on 101 for 5 at lunch on day 1. Stokes was the brightest spark for the hosts in this innings. The England captain batted in his usual combative style, crunching 11 fours in 56 off 79 balls. Durham's lower order struggled after Stokes was caught behind off Allison, collapsing to a below par total of 190 all out.
The hosts bounced back in the evening session of day 1. Worcestershire struggled to contain Durham's threatening seam attack, losing wickets throughout proceedings. Only Kashif Ali could deal with the onslaught. The right-hander has been a revelation for the pairs this season. Peter Siddle removed Adam Hose's off-stump with this absolute beauty, and Matty Potts warmed up for the first test of the summer with 4 wickets. Ali registered his third half-century of the season before he was caught off the bowling of Ben Rain for 55, closing the Worcestershire innings on 112 and handing Durham an unlikely lead.
The Durham openers were walking out to bat again, and we hadn't even reached stumps on day 1. Alex Lees, Scott Borthwick and Graham Clark were all unable to see themselves through the close of play, 23 wickets falling on day 1 of this contest. Night watchmen Siddle and Potts were dismissed early on day 2 to leave Durham 61 for 5 and the game delicately balanced. Only Colin Ackerman could make it past 40 for the hosts as wickets continued to fall at a steady pace. 4 wickets apiece for Smith and Tom Taylor helped the visitors peg Durham back to 152 all out, leaving just 231 runs to win the game.
Batting hadn't been easy in this game so far, but the final innings bucked this trend. A 56-run opening stand from Gareth Roderick and Jake Libby got the visitors off to the perfect start in the chase. 3 quick wickets from Stokes and Siddle rocked Worcestershire from 56 for 0 to 65 for 3, but it was left to the first innings mainstay Ali and Hose to steady the ship. A 129-run, 4-wicket partnership did just that. Ali brought up his second 50 of this match in 77 balls before Hose later progressed to the same milestone off of 86 balls. Worcestershire completed their comeback with Ali 76 not out, a massive win for the pairs to keep their hopes of avoiding relegation alive. 23 wickets in day 1. Have you ever been out twice in one day?
I don't think so. But that would suck.
Yes.
Particularly if it is your job to be an opening batter or something like that. Certainly not a day or a game to be a batter. The only one who really shone for me was Kashif Ali. Back-to-back 50s for him. Obviously a graduate of the South Asian Cricket Academy. He's had a phenomenal season. Possibly breakout star of the summer in the county championship. So he fought hard. But I think Worcestershire, both Worcestershire and Durham, are struggling this season. When you actually look at the table, it's pretty close. I think only 11 points between 5th and 9th. Obviously Kent looking like favourites to go down. As a Kent fan, yes, I'm pretty disappointed. But actually joining them in that relegation battle could be any number of teams.
Yeah, but one man that will be desperate for Durham not to go down is Ben Stokes, who we've seen return as a genuine all-rounder.
Brilliant to see him back bowling. I'm really excited for the test match next week. Obviously, Jimmy Anderson will get all of the focus, but Ben Stokes, the bowler, it's been a while since we've said that. He's charging in for Durham. He's clearly enjoying representing his county, the county that he's grown up in, that he's played for years. It's going to be really exciting to see him bowling at Lord's next week. Obviously, Durham, they'll be desperate to stay up. They've had a decent summer so far, but like we said, only a few points separate them from relegation. So got a bit of a break now. They'll be able to regroup, play a few blast games, and then get back to the battle.
Well, next let's head over to Chesterfield, where Derbyshire took on Yorkshire.
Derbyshire welcomed Yorkshire to Chesterfield, hoping a change of ground would bring about a change of luck. David Lloyd did win the toss and elect to bat, but the decision looked a strange one on a green wicket with overcast conditions. The Yorkshire bowlers were right on the money from the word go. Ben Code dismissed Mitch Wagstaff in the first over to set the wheels in motion. 9 more wickets would fall in the next 27 overs as Derbyshire was skittled for 76 just after lunch on day 1. This was the host's lowest total at Chesterfield since they were bowled out for 57 by Leicestershire in 1989, and it ranks as the lowest total of the Vitality County Championship season so far. Sri Lankan pacer Vishwa Fernando picked up 5 wickets and Jordan Thompson claimed the 4 others.
Yorkshire rubbed salt in Derbyshire's wounds with a bright start to the second innings. A 300-run opening partnership from Finlay Bean and Adam Lyth last week was backed up with 61 runs this time out. Bean was removed LBW by Lewis Rees to bring James Wharton to the crease. The 23-year-old was in no mood to hang around, batting positively to bring up his half-century off of 63 balls. His teammates weren't finding it quite so easy at the other end, as the visitors were restricted to 165 for 5. Wharton cracked on, and in partnership with Johnny Tattersall, He was raising his bat to celebrate three figures for the first time in first-class cricket. The pair added 241 runs for the 6th wicket to take the game away from the hosts. The partnership was broken, with Wharton edging behind 12 runs short of a double century. Tattersall was celebrating his own milestone next. A third career first-class century, which also brought up 450 and full batting points. The visitors declared soon after on 451 for 9 and an imposing lead of 375.
Wagstaff and Derbyshire's game went from bad to worse as the left-hander was out to the first ball of the third innings. Rees followed suit in the next over to leave the host 0 for 2 and staring down the barrel. Derbyshire have been suffering across all formats so far this season, with only 3 wins in the Vitality Blast to show for their efforts. Lloyd and Ross Whiteley did manage to pass 50 in this innings, but it was not enough to stop Derbyshire collapsing to a massive innings defeat. Code and Fernando finished with 6 and 4 wickets respectively, the latter taking 9 wickets in the match. This win lifts Yorkshire to 3rd place and makes it 2 on the bounce, the first time they've recorded that since June 2015. Right then, a big win for Yorkshire. I think they'll be a bit gutted that the Blast break is here because they're gaining a bit of momentum. James Wharton, as first-class hundreds go, maiden hundreds in first-class cricket, you can't really top that. Runnable 100, 29 boundaries with wickets falling at the other end. One to watch out for with his aggressive style, perhaps branded on the Brendan McCullum model of playing cricket. Really impressive from him and impressive from Yorkshire. Derbyshire, disappointed.
Yeah, I think Derbyshire have been a bit disappointing this season. They haven't really won anything except for 3 Vitality Blast games, which is reflective, well, their season just hasn't been very good. Yeah. I think they have potentials. They've had showings from Chappell and Guest who have looked good in the season, as well as Madsen earlier on, scoring his century against Yorkshire earlier on. But again, it's great in one innings, but they really need to capitalise that and use it and showcase the strength that they really do have in their batting, which they just haven't done so yet. And 76 all out, the lowest total so far in the county championship this year. Yeah. They'd be pretty disappointed.
They'll be disappointed. They would take nothing away from Yorkshire. A brilliant performance from them, all-round performance, which takes them up to 3rd in the table. Bottom of the table, Kent made the journey along the coast to face Hampshire in search of vital points. The visitors won the toss and elected to bowl first under grey skies. Those grey skies turned into rain, which forced the players off in the morning of day 1. The decision to bowl was vindicated once the players returned to the field though. The wickets of Hampshire's top 3 were all taken before the score had reached 60. This brought James Vince into the action, fresh off the back of a magnificent 166 not out last week. Alongside Ben Brown, Vince started to put the Kent bowlers to the sword in his usual elegant style. The skipper reached his 100 off 155 balls. Brown too reached his milestone on day 1, recording the 25th first-class century of his career for a more sedate 183 balls. The pair's marathon partnership of 259 came to an end when Brown was dismissed for 110 by Grant Stewart. Vince, ably assisted by a pair of swift 40s from James Fuller and Keith Barker, motored on to the 4th Vitality County Championship double century of his career and allowing Hampshire to declare on 505 for 8.
Kent have suffered a torrid season so far, and it didn't look to be getting any better when Ben Compton was dismissed without scoring. Essex loanee Feroz Kushi made a bright start to life in a Kent shirt, hitting 10 fours and a 6 in a rapid 38-ball 50. He was making his way back to the pavilion a ball later. LBW to Barker for Hampshire's 3rd wicket. Jack Leaning didn't look to be showing any ill effects from the broken hand that had kept him out of action for 7 weeks. He passed 50 off of 85 balls but could not find enough support from the other end. Successive Kent batters came and went without making a score of note. Leaning was raising his bat off 207 balls after Stewart survived a close run-out decision from a quick single, much to the dismay of the home side. Matt Parkinson was the last man to go. Kent 343 all out and 162 runs behind their opponents.
The follow-on was enforced by Hampshire as they chased victory. Compton found the going easier in this innings and anchored his side's attempted fight back. Leaning and Compton added 106 runs for the 3rd wicket before the Yorkshireman became the first of 5 victims in the innings for Kyle Abbott. Compton was soon on his way 8 runs short of 100, caught at short leg off Liam Dawson. Harry Finch picked up the baton for the Spitfires and marshalled his side's lower order. The wicketkeeper hit 12 fours in his innings, bringing up his 50 off 85 balls. Abbott then flattened Kent's resistance, picking up 4 of the last 5 wickets. He bounced Finch out for 85 to end the visitors' innings on 340.
The hosts would have one session to chase down 179 runs for victory. Despite losing 4 wickets, all but one Hampshire batsman made a better than run a ball contribution towards the target. A thrilling 22 ball 50 from Dawson put the result beyond any doubt. 7 boundaries from the classy right-hander put his side on the brink of a big win. It was now left to James Fuller to hit the winning runs. This win takes Hampshire up to 4th in the table and maroons Kent at the bottom, a whole 30 points off safety. This week, Hampshire proving pretty useful with the bat. James Vince, a player of class and elegance, 211 to help Hampshire to 505.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff from the Hampshire captain.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player. We've seen it across all formats, and even for England. He's a fantastic player, James Vince. I do wonder whether he'll get his opportunity again. Yes. I really hope that ship hasn't sailed, because he is such a classy, elegant player to watch when he's in form, and he's certainly in form right now. Back-to-back hundreds, Hampshire looking good. Kent, on the other hand, my beloved Kent, we're looking a bit out of sorts up in Division 1. Dizzy heights of Division 1, potentially a bit out of place. We can score runs. Lots of people can come to Canterbury and score runs at the moment. It's a brilliant wicket, but we're struggling to take wickets. And it's a real shame, because we move on to the Blast now, where Kent are up a position. We're second from bottom, not bottom. So hopefully we can find a bit of momentum there. But like I said, take nothing away from Hampshire. I thought they batted brilliantly and bowled well. They've got such a good all-round attack in that department. Even with the bat, Liam Dawson can be considered an all-rounder these days. A 22 ball 50 for him to power them to victory. A great performance from Hampshire, disappointing from Kent. That's all there is to say, really.
Well, next up, let's look at Northants versus Sussex.
Division 2 leaders Sussex travel to Northampton looking to consolidate their grip on top spot. Luke Proctor won the toss and asked the visitors to bat first on a pitch with a generous covering of grass. Overseas player Daniel Hughes made a bright start to his championship debut with some free-flowing stroke play before he edged behind to become one of 4 Northants wickets before lunch on day 1. Batting didn't get any easier after the interval. Jack White proved too difficult to manage and the visitors lost 6 wickets for just 47 runs. Jack Carson managed to blast 5 boundaries in quick time before he was caught on the boundary for the final wicket. Sussex all out for 143.
Recognising the difficulty of the wicket, Ricardo Vasconcelos and Prithvi Shaw batted in a positive fashion for the hosts. The Sussex slip cordon were in fine form as Tom Haynes caught 2 sharp catches and 2 balls off of Nathan McAndrew to leave Northants 53 for 4. Wickets continued to tumble. Ollie Robinson bounced back from the ignominy of being hit for 43 off of 1 over last week to take 4 wickets and bowl Northamptonshire out for just 97.
The game continued at a pace. Hughes went early, but Sussex were bringing up their 50 in just the 9th over, thanks to 45 from Haynes. Tom Alsop and Sean Hunt saw their team through to stumps after Haynes edged behind to become the 22nd wicket of day 1. Sussex's bowlers had put their team in a strong position in this game, but the batters couldn't drive home the advantage. The middle order of James Coles, Ollie Carter and John Simpson could only manage starts. Proctor bowled well for the hosts, taking 4 wickets and wrapping up the 3rd innings for 237. Northants would need 284 for victory.
The hunt for 10 wickets started well for Sussex, and McAndrew trapping Vasconcelos LBW for just 6. Shaw and Gay played well on a wicket where batting had not previously been easy. Their partnership of 69 was broken when Shaw was bowled by Hunt. Northants' chase suffered a further setback when skipper Proctor and Gay were removed in back-to-back overs. Further wickets followed to leave the hosts' chance hanging by a thread. A 50 partnership from Justin Broad and Ben Sanderson did bring Northants within 80 runs of the victory target, but it was left to McAndrew to wrap up the last 3 wickets and claim figures of 5 for 73. A 5th win of the season for Sussex.
Right then, Sussex, our local club, top of the table in Division 2, pushing for promotion. They look like they're having a fantastic season so far. I mean, they've proven they can win pretty much any position, whether it's last week, Louis Kimber, an onslaught against them, but they held their heads and won a thriller. And this week, after 22 wickets on day 1, you're playing away from home, but they weren't frazzled. They get the victory.
Yeah, no, it's been a brilliant performance from Sussex this year, being led by John Simpson.
Yep.
And he's done a phenomenal job for Sussex. I think he's proven well with the bat. He's proven well behind the stumps and all round been a genuinely great captain. Yeah,
I mean, he's a favourite for signing of the season, isn't he? He's had a fantastic summer. Another player who's had a great season, James Coles.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He just signed for the 100 as well.
I saw that, yeah.
And he's again proved really, really well with both the ball and the bat in all formats of the game.
Yep, so Sussex absolutely flying, but Northants second from bottom, really struggling. They're not struggling for runs, they're struggling for wickets. I remember the first game of the season, Emilio Gay smashed a double 100, Northants hit 600 plus, everyone's backing them. to be title chargers, and they end up second from bottom in the division.
Yeah.
I think Emilio Gay top scored in this game though, 60.
He did, yeah.
Low scoring thriller.
Yeah, it was low scoring thriller in only 3 days, so.
Yeah, but we're buzzing for
game.
Sussex, obviously our local club. Yes. I grew up in Kent, so I support Kent, but I live in Sussex now, and by the look of the county championship table, maybe I should be supporting them instead. Moving on then, let's head to Leicestershire v Middlesex. Leicestershire came into this clash with fellow promotion hopefuls Middlesex, with 8 senior players missing to injury or unavailability. Despite this, Lewis Hill won the toss and decided to bat first. Last season's form batter Rishi Patel was trapped LBW by Toby Rowland-Jones in the 6th over, setting the theme for the day. Fellow opener Sol Budinger was out and over later to leave the score 17 for 2. Hill and Goldsworthy added 65 runs for the next wicket in the only partnership of any substance in this innings. Hill then edged behind off Ethan Bamber to spark a collapse of 6 for 44 from the hosts. Scott Curry offered some resistance, but 4 wickets apiece for Rowland-Jones and Ryan Higgins finished off the innings. Leicestershire all out for a disappointing 179.
However, Middlesex's second innings batting display was about to make Leicestershire's total look pretty impressive. Stoneman was the first man to go for the North Londoners to the 12th ball of the innings. Wickets continued to flow throughout this one, with only Sam Robson and Lewis Deploy managing double figures. All-rounder Ben Mike was in fine form for the hosts, taking 5 for 22, backed up by 4 for 28 from Somerset loanee Ben Green. Mike clean bowled Deploy to end the innings 86 all out and 93 runs behind Leicestershire.
Remarkably, it was still day 1 and the third innings of this game was beginning. One more wicket was to fall before stumps. After a solid start of 36 for naught, Budinger was making his way back to the pavilion, caught in the deep after a Rowland-Jones bouncer. More wickets fell in the morning of day 2, but Patel, Curry and Hill all went to leave the game in the balance at 63 for 4. The wickets brought Goldsworthy to the crease, who unlike any other batter in this game managed to find some fluency. The loanee made 75 with 13 boundaries in a 101-run partnership with Harry Swindles. He eventually edged behind off Rowland-Jones to bring last week's hero, Louis Kimber, to the crease. Despite a first innings duck, Kimber slipped straight back into the form he showed at Hove. The right-hander smashed 4 sixes in a row off Henry Brooks before he was halted 2 overs later with a clever slower ball from Brooks himself. Leicestershire piled on the runs, and 75 from Green and 41 from Mike took their lead past 450. The innings was eventually ended by 1 big shot too many from Green. Middlesex would require 466 runs for victory.
The visitors made a much better fist of it in their second innings, but 30s from Stoneman and Max Holden pushed the score past 100. Once they were both dismissed, the bulk of the required runs fell on the shoulders of Deploy and Higgins. The duo added 78 for the 4th wicket before they were both dismissed within 2 overs of each other to put the hosts in the driving seat. The Middlesex lower order did show some fight, but no one could make the contribution needed to win this game. Rowland-Jones did make a buccaneering 59 off of 33 balls, with no less than 8 sixes. But in truth, the game was gone by this point, and a first victory of the season for Leicestershire was confirmed when Rowland-Jones was caught on the boundary. A huge effort from the hosts, considering the injury troubles they had to overcome.
Right then, a first win of the season for Leicestershire. They've finally got a W on the table, despite having 8 senior players injured or unavailable. Without Peter Hanscom, Hull, Mulder, Holland, Scriven, Rian Ahmed, Javaskis and Chris White, they get the victory.
Yeah, they do. And Middlesex probably now looking over their shoulder, Yorkshire and Leicestershire, 2 wins for both of the teams this week. So it's getting tight now at Division 2. I'm quite enjoying this league. Top.
I'm a bit gutted we're going into a break now because
Yes.
the county championship table is looking really interesting.
Yeah. Red Ball cricket in general is just...
Red Ball cricket is interesting. And actually this week, I mean, there was certainly a week where I was here with Artif and we were having to talk about 7 draws, I think, or 8 draws. So it's nice to be able to talk about some results and what a result that is for Leicestershire. And last but certainly not least, we head to Southport where Lancashire took on Nottinghamshire. Jimmy Anderson returned to action for the first time this season ahead of his final test match next week as Lancashire welcomed Nottinghamshire to Southport. Notts won the toss and elected to bowl first and made good early progress with the ball, removing the informed duo of Luke Wells for 7 and Josh Bohannon for 25. Skipper Keaton Jennings held firm in an almost single-handed effort. Jennings' 50 came up off 93 balls and his 100 off 179, all the while wickets were falling at the other end. Only George Balderson could manage another score above 40 for the hosts. Jennings' marathon continued and he was raising his bat to celebrate his 150 shortly after. The skipper would eventually carry his bat for 187 not out as he declared the innings on 353 for 9. A lower declaration score than usual, but day 2 was a complete washout in this game.
The bumper Southport crowd had to wait patiently to see Anderson with the ball in hand, but they weren't disappointed when they did. The all-time leading wicket-taker for England rolled back the years, taking 6 for 19 in a deadly 10-over opening spell. The assault left Notts floundering at 40 for 6 and a long way from first innings parity. The situation might have been much worse had it not been for a fighting 64 not out from opener Ben Slater. Anderson returned to claim a 7th and finished with figures 7 for 35 before number 11, Dane Patterson, was run out to wrap up the innings. Notts 126 all out and 227 runs behind.
Lancs enforced the follow-on, pushing for a third win of the season, but the Notts batters made life much tougher for Anderson and co in the third innings. Nathan Lyon got the breakthrough, dismissing Slater for the first time in the game for 17, and Anderson removed Young for the second time in the game to give the hosts a boost. But Joe Clarke stood firm for the visitors with his 5th 100 of the season. The wicketkeeper batter has been in fine form this campaign and takes his tally to 795 runs and an astonishing average of 72 with this knock. Lyndon James supported Clarke with 47 not out to take their side to a draw. Right, Jimmy Anderson back playing for Lancashire, back taking wickets in front of a big crowd at Southport, another county outground. We saw it at Cheltenham, this time we're seeing it at Southport. Great to see so many people watching cricket at these lovely grounds. But let's talk about Jimmy.
Yeah, well, especially having Jimmy back before his final test next week. 6 for 24 off of 12 overs and then coming back and taking his 7th. He's still got it. He's still got it. And it excites me because I think he loves playing for Lancashire. Yes.
Even when it's alongside Nathan Lyon. I thought there were some interesting comments there.
Well, there was an interesting comment from Nathan Lyon where he put out on social media how he found it sick almost, him and Jimmy
He felt
Anderson.
a bit sick to be saying, come on, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy in return saying, nice Gary. Bizarre, but that's the beauty of county cricket is you get these stars from all around the world playing 4-day Red Bull cricket, getting to know each other. I'm sure they've realised that actually they've got a lot more in common than they do during the Ashes.
Well, they probably work together.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think Nathan Lyon picked up a couple of wickets. But one person who scored even more runs, Keaton Jennings.
Yeah.
What a fantastic season he's having. I'm just looking at the top run scorers list in Division 1. Keaton Jennings, from 14 innings, he's got 854 runs at an average of 65, just behind David Bedingham, legendary Durham County Championship batsman, 926 runs for him. And behind him, Joe Clarke, 795 runs at an average of 72. Clarke, of course, getting a century in this game. So plenty of English batters performing well in the County Championship this season. Keaton Jennings, another one who's played for England, but has since been dropped and is proving his case once again that, you know, if there's a spot available, he'll certainly be pushing for it.
Yeah, with his career best of 187 not out.
Fantastic score for him. He continues to pile on the runs. He's certainly enjoying life at Lancashire. And it's been a brilliant season for him. Right, so we've got to give our points out for best player of the round. This is a tricky one because there have been so many standout performers. There have been some disagreements in the office about who deserves this. But let's talk about 1 point. Firstly, in third place with 1 point, it's got to be Jimmy Anderson. The GOAT. Fantastic figures. 7 for in possibly his last game for Lancashire, although I doubt it. I'm sure he'll come back and play. 2 points.
Well, this is where the disagreements start. James Vince, 211.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to get a double 100 and not get 2 points. But I think he should share those 2 points with Tom Abel. Fantastic 150 from him, his highest first class score. Somerset chased down 410 in the 4th innings to win at Taunton. I mean, he's got to be on that leaderboard. But all 3 points we're going to give to James Bracey.
Yeah,
a double 100 and an incredible catch to tie the game.
100% probably
deserving. I think he deserves it alone for his celebration of running around the outground at Cheltenham College. So those are our most valuable players of the week. It's been a fantastic week. Regina, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I've loved it.
Good. I know you were nervous, but you smashed it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's been County Cricket Weekly on the Cricket District Network. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time watching, we do this every week of the County Championship, and we're trying to, I guess, create a match of the day style show for the format that we love. We absolutely love doing it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it. If you did, leave it a like, comment, and of course subscribe to the Cricket District Network, and we'll see you next time.